Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Oh boy. Ziggity zing zing zoom.
Yeah, you.
Yeah. Welcome to the bridge. I'm Comrade Britt.
Down pat.
The podcast is called Soy Trek
It is.
that you're listening to.
The first AMAB spermless Star Trek podcast.
That is correct as far as I'm concerned.
So, as far as we know.
As far as we know, there might be another one, but we don't care.
I doubt it, though.
Yeah, I doubt it. I think we've put in the work, we've put in the time, we just haven't put in the research. Research really don't matter. We're not academics.
Yeah.
You know, we're academics like the guy on Twitter, you know, DJ academics.
Yeah, DJ academics.
Yeah, we're like DJ academics,
Yeah,
and that we
yeah.
like to start shit. We like to fling some shit, see what happens. Mix up that shit pot.
Just fling some shit at the wall, see what happens.
Oh yeah, did you know we have a Patreon?
I do, actually. I've heard about this.
You have heard about this. Well, yeah, you get some money off of it.
Hells yeah.
Yeah, that'd be like $45 a month, baby.
Yeah. But I use that $40 to buy some Star Trek memorabilia.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So you're reinvesting in Star Trek, really.
It goes into reinvesting into Star Trek.
Yeah. So our patreon.com/dumbIdiotBS, our Patreon at patreon.com/dumbIdiotBS is a pretty cool place. For as little as $2 a month, you can become, actually, you know what? They actually did a thing now, it's free. You can actually sign up for free if you want.
Wow.
See what you like, and hopefully if you can spare $2 a month or more, you can support us.
Yeah.
But we've got a couple free members on there, but you know, most people pay, and you know, it makes us, it pays for the podcast, more than pays for the podcast, pays way more than advertising ever paid us.
That's true.
So, we thank everybody who helps us with the Patreon. Not just the people who pay $5 or more a month, like Dylan Lance, Jordan Hale, David Craning Seitz, Dee Gursky, Jormore, Tim Wilkinson, Sam Mayo, Kyle Simmons, PJ Hale, Shane Sawyer, Gillian McCrary, SFC Punk, Roberto Molina, 7 of 9, James Hartman, Anna Conklin, Iggy, Abigail Simpson, John Simcox, Shane Williams, and Roberto Yolito, as well as Electric Baphomet, Jonah Hearn, and Nick Savard.
Hells yeah.
Yeah, we thank all those people. They're pretty rad. They pay $5 or more a month, and so they get a shout out. For the regular tier and the $2 tier, you know, you get all of our stuff in high quality stereo the moment it comes out, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Or the moment I'm done making it, really. Not the moment it comes out to the rest of the world. You get it early is what I'm saying.
Yes.
You also get a bonus cast, usually of us eating together and having a weird conversation about stuff.
Yeah. Like the Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh yeah, that was my favorite one when we were eating something and talked about how like Sonic the Hedgehog is the new like divine fertility god or something.
Yeah.
Let's see, what else do you get on there? Oh yeah, you can vote on what we watch every week, and this was the episode we're doing today was voted on by patrons.
Yeah, and it's something that I actually wanted to watch for a while. I just never got around to.
Yeah, people have been asking us to do this for a while, and I'm surprised that it only just finally came up. But it was the top voted one on our Patreon poll.
Hells yeah.
Yeah, and so you know, people want to hear what we have to say about this, I guess, because you know I've watched it before, and so have you, I think.
No, it was
this is your first time.
First time watching it.
So I watched it before, and it was. I have different feelings on it than when I watched it before, because when I watched it, it was probably maybe like when I was getting back into Star Trek for like my second or third wave of Star Trek, so like in my mid-20s probably.
Yeah.
And so it was probably around the time it came out is actually when I watched
2011,
it. Yeah, and I felt pretty good about it then.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about that a little more because we need to keep talking about our Patreon.
Yes.
For what else do you get on the $2 tier? I don't know, bonus episodes. Oh yeah, other podcasts I make such as Prison Breakdown and Getting Head, a Bucket Cast.
Yeah, your podcast about the TV show Prison Break.
Exactly. It's not. It's an academic podcast done by two professors. I'm not kidding about this, by the way. It sounds like I'm just making a joke. Like, yeah, I do a podcast with two professors. I actually do a podcast with two professors.
There's learned people on this podcast.
Yeah, we gonna get you learned. Let's see. Yeah, so $2 tier is great. $5 tier, we shout you out. $10 tier, you get access to
the Media Dungeon.
Oh yeah.
Which is my Plex media server. If you don't know what Plex is, it's a streaming service that's a lot like Netflix or Hulu, but it streams from a private computer or private server in my case.
I know. Jay from Red Letter Media really likes using Plex as well.
I bet he does.
Yeah, guys. I bet like every single tape they review, I think he rips and puts directly on his.
I bet he
server.
does. I bet he does. I bet he does what I do.
What you do?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I should try to get in contact with Jay. I have a lot in common with that guy.
Yeah, I would like to see access to his Plex server as well.
Yeah, I should just hit him up and be like, hey, I understand you like Plex. I live next to Scarecrow Video. I rip a fucking ton of media that you don't even have.
Yeah.
If you'd ever want to, have free access to it and make requests, that'd be rad.
Yeah.
Like I'm a deep curator like you, and I actually have a little bit of clout in the curation media space.
Yeah.
I've got a pretty big like Internet Archive account that I put up like over 300 VHS rips on.
You
like
do
that.
get some pretty obscure stuff on there.
I'm all around the internet, and I've got go to reddit.com/themediadungeon. Or r/themediadungeon. I've got a few hundred followers there. It's it's where I just put up movies that I rip and stuff. I'm not like super active on there. I go in bursts. Like I'll put up like 100 movies and leave for like 3 months. But
yeah, it'd be good to share those because like Plex will be definitely be one of the few places where you can find media that's lost
exactly
to the ages of time.
And so that's like my passion is finding media that's like very hard to find, media that's almost lost. Mostly movies, but I'm getting a lot more into television lately, and I've gotten some crazy television on there.
Hells yeah.
Yeah, like what have you been watching on there on my Plex server?
I just started Foundation season 2.
Nice. How you liking that?
Good. I fell asleep during one episode though. I was really tired.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's not the show's fault.
That's not the show's fault, but they've introduced the Mule, who's like a big villain in the Foundation series. Like I saw him. I like that. I like the Mule. I actually think Jar Jar Binks was supposed to be the I think like George Lucas originally modeled Jar Jar Binks after the Mule because he kind of looks he's not like a mule, like an actual donkey in the Foundation series. He's just a guy, but he feels like he's carrying the weight of the universe on his, calls himself the Mule.
I love that.
But I feel like George Lucas, but he's also like kind of like he was like a guy that was secretly influencing people with his mental powers. Like he was able to put a wrench in the Foundation's plans by fucking everything up with his mental abilities, and I kind of feel like that's how George Lucas originally was going to mean Jar Jar, because Jar Jar kind of looks like a donkey almost.
He's donkeyish. He's like a donkey lizard.
He's like an aquatic donkey.
Yeah, he's like a river donkey.
And I think originally he was supposed to be meant to be like a because the mule originally appears as a jester, and so he acts like he's really stupid and stuff. And I feel that's what Jar Jar was going to do, would be be like a jester, be like, oh, I'm completely innocuous, but actually be like influencing people secretly with his force powers.
Yeah, we love that.
That's how I think
it should have been.
It should have been.
It should have been.
Yeah, but
Darth Jar Jar.
Darth Jar Jar.
Let's see. What have I gotten lately on Plex? I've gotten the new Ken Burns documentary, The American Buffalo. I got all of the Cleveland Show. I got all of Gravedale High, which is like basically like a horror high type show.
Is that the Rick Moranis one?
No, Rick Moranis isn't in it, but Phil Hartman and Frank Welker are. Yeah, it's like
because Rick Moranis was in like a like an 80s cartoon where he was like the principal of like a high school for monsters.
Oh yeah, this is a 90s one.
Yeah.
So I guess that was an oft repeated idea. I also got Spaceballs, the animated series.
Oh, hells yeah.
I don't know if you knew that existed. I got Breaking Bonaducci, which is the Danny Bonaducci reality show.
Is Danny Bonaducci still alive?
Surprisingly, he lives around here.
Really?
Yeah, he does his talk show out of Tacoma or something, I think.
We should invite him on the podcast.
We shouldn't suck his dick.
I'll leave that up to you. But
It's a group. This is a group effort here. All right, we have to suck his dick.
Damn it!
Like, can I suck your dick? Does not sound nearly attractive as how do you feel about two people sucking your dick at the same time?
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You gotta undersell it first,
Right,
And then
right.
if he says no the first time, then you gotta be like, okay, well, we
Yeah,
got
true.
two.
You
know, you
but
gotta,
he's not going to say no the first time. Look at these DSLs. Look at these. Look at these bad boys.
Look at these bad boys. No, we should though. I don't know if he knows. I don't know if he watches Star Trek, but I think that'd be funny.
That would. So we also have. I also got Bam's Badass Game Show, which was Bam Margera's very short-lived game show. I got the Dudesons, which was the Dutch version of Jackass that predates Jackass.
Oh wow.
Yeah, they like Jackass is kind of based on the Dudesons.
So really, Jackass is the what was it from Sweden? You said?
Something like that. Sweden or they're Dutch, maybe.
Oh yeah,
something.
or Dutch. Yeah. So it's like really, Jackass is the Dutch version of, or the American version of the Dudesons.
Yes, correct. Yeah. I also got Thunder in Paradise, the short-lived Hulk Hogan action show,
Oh hells yeah.
and also Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling, his cartoon.
Oh yeah, we watched part of that.
Yeah,
Watch that
yeah, we did.
sometimes.
We did watch an episode of that. That was pretty fun. What else? The CNN News Network show. That was pretty fun. Free Willy the cartoon, and all of the VeggieTales TV show.
God, how like does Free Willy just get freed every single episode?
I guess so. Or I think a kid just like rides around on Free Willy and shit.
Do you think that they make it pretty much like every single like cartoon adaptation at that time where there was lots of like just like robotics and stuff involved where like
Probably.
Willy became like a warrior. He wore like that special like robotic augments that he put onto himself to help fight and free other whales.
Yeah, I bet he did. He was a dino whale.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. The kid's like, you know what you might know him as an orca, but mine's a killer whale.
Yeah, and he had like a whole team of other whales, and there was like one whale that has really long eyelashes to make sure you know that's the girl whale.
Whale Team 6. Yeah.
Whale Team 6, yeah. That would be a really good one.
No.
Yeah, Whale Team 6. There's a sperm whale, but they call him like they don't call him.
They just call him Cummy.
They call him Cummy the sperm whale.
Cummies, yeah.
then there's a humpback, and then like all sorts of different kinds of whales, and then there's like also they have a dolphin buddy. I would love to see that.
Excuse me.
Oh yeah, and maybe they also have like a whale shark. Whale
Oh,
sharks.
I love whale sharks.
Whale sharks are pretty sick.
That's my favorite type of whale.
Yeah.
They're so big and majestic, and they
Yeah.
can't like really hurt you or anything.
No, they're friendly.
They're very friendly.
Yeah, I'd still freak out though if I saw one if I was swimming.
Though I'd shit my shorts.
Yeah, I would just fill my whole pants like because
There'd just be a trail of brown running behind me as I quickly scrambled to the surface.
and he instantly like smells it in the water and just like
And just like eats
swims.
it. Yummy, yummy.
Thank you. I am Payakan. I am now your friend. You have fed me.
I am Puakan.
Puakan.
2 whales, 1 cup, baby. 2 whales, 1 sea.
2 whales, 1 sea.
Yeah, so that's our Patreon. Also, $20 tier gets you merch every month, and that's the only way to get real Soy Trek merch still.
Yeah, how many people are in the merch tier? I was going to order some of those.
Just 3 people.
Just 3 people?
Just 3 people.
I'm going to order some of those. Keep honking. I'm listening to Soy Trek, the first AMAB spermless
Hell yeah.
podcast. I'm going to order those on Sticker Mule. So
Cool.
they'll be getting those.
Hell yeah.
Our merch
Looking forward to that.
Yeah. So that's any incentive to get on the merch tier. You can have like a really weird bumper sticker.
Yeah, we're both going to put that bumper sticker on our car.
We are.
And that's going to be the best advertisement we've ever had for some reason.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna get more listeners from that stupid bumper sticker.
Yeah.
Just like we sold more fucking stickers just from that really dog shit grainy video of the back of your car
Yeah. Someone.
than from anything else, basically.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's still being shared in like Star Trek shit posting or not. I saw there was.
It's probably shared on there and then like one Tumblr group, and like every time it's screenshotted again, so it like gets more and more pixelated. It looked, last time I saw it just looked like dog shit. The first time I saw it, I was
Yeah.
like, this is the worst photo ever, but at least it's an advertisement for us, and it degraded. Like the original got lost.
Yeah.
Copy of a copy of a copy, and now it fucking it looks dumb as hell.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, the drummer of the Mountain Goats
Yeah.
shared it, and like Jane Wilden from the Go-Go's.
Oh, yeah.
She saw it, and yeah, it was being
Oh,
shared.
that's how I connected with Tawny Newsome in the first place. is
Oh,
when,
really?
The guy from Mountain Goat shared it. Yeah.
Yeah, and like it's I do catch like actually like coming here before I came here I was in line to get coffee and I saw a guy freaking out looking at the bumper stickers.
Nice.
And I was just like, oh yeah, he's freaking out. But I have caught other people taking pictures of my bumper stickers. So hopefully they appear more online at some point. Like a new version appears that's not as degraded.
Yeah. And I feel like if they get to see you too, they're like, okay.
Okay, this makes sense.
Oh, right.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
His wife did leave him.
Because also when I was in line to get coffee, there was also the guy who gave me coffee. He's like, all right, here you go. And then like I have a skeleton who's named Philip Femur Hoffman who sits in my back seat. And he's like, whoa, there's a dead guy back there. I was just like, yes, sir.
Yeah.
So yeah, my car is fun for people.
You should just call it Philip Seymour Hoffman because
He's
it could be him.
It could be him. No, I like Philip Femur Hoffman.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Philip Femur Hoffman, yeah.
Yeah. You should get the 12-foot skeleton, like,
Put that in my car.
yeah, just cram it in there, all folded up in the back and like the passenger seat.
I did see someone buying that at Home Depot this year.
Hell
and
yeah.
They were just wheeling it out on one of those little giant things. I was like,
Fuck
God
yeah.
damn it. I want one so bad. I don't have a yard though, so I'm like
Right.
nowhere to put it except my bedroom.
I'd put mine on my couch there and just hang out with it, have it be my skeleton cuddle buddy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just be like cuddling with an anorexic.
Yeah.
So I've cuddled with twinks before. No worries.
It'd be like that test they did where they gave like a baby monkeys a fake monkey mother, one that gave milk, and then but then wasn't cuddly, and then another that was cuddly but didn't give milk.
Yeah.
And the baby monkeys always chose the cuddly monkey over the one that fed them.
Interesting.
It's really depressing.
That is depressing. I mean, oxytocin is a very, very, very powerful brain chemical. Like, I'd say probably more powerful than pretty much anything else. Like the sensation of touch and like being wanted and desired, and like kept safe is like,
Especially for little baby monkeys.
yeah, it's like our basest desire, especially when we're small.
Yeah. Yeah, the baby doesn't know that it needs milk.
Some people are always small. A lot of subs, and that's what. That's my bread and my butter, baby. What we get into today, Mr. Patrick?
We watched The Captains, the
did.
documentary by William Shatner about the Star Trek captains.
Indeed.
Or really, as we're talking about, it's about William Shatner.
So it's about a Star Trek captain.
It's about it should be called The Captain.
Yes, it really should. It should honestly be called The Captain and the Other Captains.
Yeah.
That's like in my mind and in my heart, I think what he really wanted to name it.
Yeah, I kind of feel that he really only called it The Captains and involved the other captains just because he wanted a launching point to talk about himself.
And
Like-
also, like, yeah, a way to do a film about himself, but be relevant within the film.
Yes.
Because if he made a film, like a fucking like memoir film or something like that, or like a docudrama about himself or something, it would come off as like terrible and hacky. and
Yeah.
like there would be, I mean, the veil would be completely ripped off.
Yeah, you
But
can't.
in this way, he
can't-
can, he can just be like, oh, this is about all of us.
Yes, yeah, and like where he seems like he's more magnanimous and wants to include all of the people that are involved in Star Trek, not just himself. Because if it was written, directed, starring about William Shatner, with William Shatner on William Shatner,
Yeah.
people would just be like, "You fucking hack shit." And instead, it's like, oh no, it's actually about these other people. But as we'll see, it's not. It's about William Shatner.
Yeah. And so the cinematography and the editing were also done by the same person. So this was a very small team project, I think.
It definitely seemed that way because it definitely feels like if there were more people involved in the production, it probably could have had like a more coherent narrative.
Right.
And instead, like it's just like lots of disjointed interviews and then cuts to William Shatner.
I'm going to posit this theory right here. It's not disjointed, Patrick. It's jazz, baby.
It's jazz, yeah.
It's jazz, baby, yeah. He's a hip cat doing a jazz film, baby.
It definitely feels like it goes to the beat of jazz.
Oh, yeah.
But white jazz. Like
Oh, yes. You are correct. Affirmative.
yeah, it's like it because it's not like, people like jazz, but white jazz though, not so much.
I mean, there's good white jazz musicians.
Yeah.
There's also a lot of not good.
Yeah,
white
and
jazz.
William Shatner is definitely in the bad. Yeah, I mean, we'll talk. I did not. It's pretty obvious. I personally did not enjoy this film. I did not enjoy. I've been looking forward to watching this for a long time. I had heard people talk about it in the past. I was like, oh, it's probably not that bad, but I don't know. For me, this was like I didn't really learn anything that I didn't already know about a lot of the captains, especially my favorite ones, like Patrick Stewart and Avery Brooks. You know. I feel like, documentary wise, like What We Left Behind, far superior documentary.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's like, I don't know, a certain feeling and energy behind What We Left Behind to where you can tell. I mean, in that film, I think was produced and maybe directed by Ira Stephen Bear, right?
yeah.
And, like hosted by
An
maybe
actual
written by-
storyteller.
Right, an actual storyteller who like wanted to tell the story of like DS9 behind the scenes, not just the story of Ira Stephen Bear.
Yes.
Because he realized that the project was much bigger than him, even though he was the showrunner of it. Like he wanted the story to be told by everybody because he realizes that everybody's a big part of the story. Whereas like in this film, I feel like William Shatner thinks he's the story.
Yes.
And lets everything kind of revolve around him. And it's like very obvious with the editing and stuff. Like he leaves in every single fucking compliment that anyone gives him in this film.
He does. And also we get very few perspectives from William Shatner's own cast members. We get Christopher Plummer.
Yeah, that's true. We don't get anyone from TOS.
We get no one
which
from
is
TOS.
Very surprising and maybe telling.
Very telling. And because really that kind of obviously like as a director and writer, like he has like full creative control. And so
I take that back. We have a brief appearance by Grace Lee Whitney, who played Yeoman Rand.
yes, we do, but we don't get any. She doesn't talk or anything.
Right.
But like he does have an interview with Christopher Plummer, and even in that was very telling. And just where he was just like, I had my concerns about this character, and I didn't come to you about it because I knew like you would not listen.
Well,
and he said
also
that to
like he knows that he's the superior actor to Shatner because Shatner started out acting as Plummer's understudy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and so like Plummer knows he's like the superior actor.
Yeah, and it was very telling because like we have no like kind of added objectivity from like other opinions from like people William Shatner has worked closely with, and I feel like he kind of like probably tries to escape that as he tries to make this seem like it's a movie more about the other captains instead of himself. So he feels like he doesn't need to be under the same lens of criticism that or objectivity that the other captains are put under.
Yeah, and it should probably be noted that of the other people they do interview here, we have 2 people from DS9, both of whom speak very highly of Avery Brooks.
Yes,
very highly.
Very highly.
That's Renee Auberjonois and Nana Visitor, who played Odo and Kira respectively.
Yep, and also even like us, we have EMH, Robert Ricardo talk about Kate Mulgrew, which I feel was very necessary because like William Shatner really butchers the interviews with Avery Brooks and Kate Mulgrew.
The Avery Brooks interview, despite the fact that fucking William Shatner does not know what he's doing,
he also doesn't understand Avery Brooks.
Avery Brooks knows exactly what he's doing and makes it one of my favorite interviews of all time.
It is excellent.
It is wild.
It is top tier trolling of William Shatner.
100%. 1,000,000%. Avery Brooks went in there with a mission and like something set him off and he was like, this isn't an interview anymore. This is me having some fun.
Yeah, because it almost seemed like they were talking very openly before they sat down, like when they're walking together.
Right.
And like they're having a conversation about like sea captains.
Right.
And seeing the curvature of the world.
Yeah. And thinking that the horizon was like over there. And then fucking Avery Brooks brings up that like the first seafaring people were black and they didn't think that at all.
Yeah.
Like there's like black ancient wisdom and fucking, and Shatner's like kind of off put by this, I think, because he's like
very dismissive.
He gets big dicked by Avery Brooks, who is
from the beginning.
Yeah. It was because I mean Avery Brooks is a big dick energy motherfucker. You know, he's like he's got a deep bass voice. He's like 6'1". He's got that presence to him, man. Like.
He's very confident and he knows who he is.
He's big dick coded for sure.
Big, yeah, and you really get that from the interviews that he does with William Shatner does with him, where William Shatner does not understand Avery Brooks.
No,
like, and it's clearly that he made no attempt to understand Avery Brooks.
No, and Avery Brooks like very clearly says some stuff in there that they leave in the film that I think is great, but William Shatner doesn't follow up on it at all.
No, he doesn't.
about the experience of like a black captain.
Yes,
and saying this person who's a captain and happens to be brown, and then like William Shatner just like cuts to another scene.
Yeah. I mean, I feel that's like I feel that subject has been explored much better in other interviews Avery Brooks has done.
Oh, absolutely. When he actually brings in like his history of like black radicalism and like Paul Robeson and stuff like that into it.
And also his like, and how important it was for him to be depicted as as a single black father raising a son.
Yeah, in a positive way.
In a positive way, and how important that was for him. And so like a lot of Avery Brooks's own like beliefs and were channeled through Cisco, and that came out in a very positive way.
And it's crazy that they don't really touch on the racial subject like at all, because he even uses a clip from Far Beyond the Stars when Cisco is having like a breakdown over racism. Yeah. And they just totally skirt that. They're just like, here's a great scene with him and Renee Auberjonois.
Yeah,
like,
it's used.
They could have used any scene between those two. They have so many great scenes together, but they decided to go for like the most racially charged one, and then they don't really touch the subject at all.
Yeah, to use it as a more of an example of Avery Brooks's acting ability rather than like the fact that like Avery Brooks directed that episode.
Right, exactly.
And this was more important to him on an emotional level,
right,
and political level than it was on just his acting. Like his acting in that was spectacular and important to him, but also the message of Far Beyond the Stars, and that's what you really remember from Far Beyond the Stars, more of like just the story that it tells. And it's just, and like, well, I mean, I think it's because William Shatner was really seeing these actors through his own lens, because that comes up a lot, where he's basically trying to bully them into his own kind of like how he feels about himself and how he feels about Star Trek, rather than like than the actors themselves, their own personal experiences. I feel, because like, like when Avery Brooks kind of like touches on like the importance of having a brown captain and stuff like that, and William Shatner doesn't follow up in any sort of meaningful way. It's because, that's because William Shatner has not experienced that.
Right. And so it's unimportant to the film because the film is about him.
It's unimportant, yeah. And so he's just like, okay, oh, here's a story about me.
He and it's weird because he has a full discussion with Kate Mulgrew about a woman being a captain.
That was awful.
It was awful. It was so maybe let's talk about his interview with Kate Mulgrew real quick.
Yeah, I also want to talk initially before the Kate, what when it's Kate Mulgrew's interview. She meets him on the streets of New York.
And he's in a box.
He's in a box.
That says captain in here or something.
Why?
And then he,
What was
when
the
he gets
point
out of
of
there,
this?
she knocks on the box. She's like, and he goes, as though there's a code to get in the box.
What was he trying to say with that scene, do you think?
I think that was his attempt at humor, but he doesn't really understand what's funny.
Was he trying to say that he's homeless now that he doesn't have he's no longer the Star Trek captain?
Or is he saying that once you are cast as a Star Trek captain, you get put in a box?
Oh. Hey, we don't know because it's unclear. He doesn't.
Hey, symbology fucking sucks.
he doesn't recreate this ever again. It's just for Kate Mulgrew.
Yeah. And I mean, he could have followed up on it or something and be first question. Is after being cast as a Star Trek captain, do you feel like you got put in a box or something like that?
Yeah. I kind of was thinking it's because he feels like he's been cast out of Star Trek or something. Now he's in this box. Now he's on the street, cast out.
It was completely unclear. I think it was just him trying to be funny.
Yeah.
And
he saw a box and was like, I'm gonna get in this when I meet Kate Mulgrew.
Yeah. Hey, anyone have a Sharpie? Right, captain in here.
Yeah.
It is a cheap fucking set piece. We don't have to pay for this.
And it struck me as weird because when I was looking up pictures and online, and I was I found it's featured, him in the box is featured as sort of on the promotional material on the movie posters and stuff. So so I was just yeah, it's one variation of the movie poster. So I'm okay, so what was the meaning behind this?
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's in the box?
What's the meaning of the box? I don't know. And then it's just because he only does it with Kate Mulgrew and it's never done again. So, but I mean, he does meet the other captains in other places where on the streets of New York, that's you can see that. Where he meets the other captains, it would be weird if there was just a box that he was just in
every time he met one of them. Now that would be funny in just a weird way, especially if he never explained it at all.
Exactly.
But yeah, just doing it for Kate Mulgrew was what's happening? Okay, I'm waiting for a payoff. Nope, no, nothing.
Nothing. All right.
Just meeting you in a box.
I mean, there is another also bizarre meeting with him and Chris Pine.
Yeah.
Where they meet on the sidewalk, on a table on the sidewalk.
Right.
And Chris Pine is just okay, I guess we're sitting at this table on the sidewalk.
Yeah, it's not like a cafe or anything. It's just a table on the sidewalk in L.A.
Yeah, in front of Paramount Studios, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, very bizarre. But yeah, the Kate Mulgrew thing instantly, I'm because I think we mentioned that there's no clear narrative of what he's trying to say.
No.
The overarching point of his film is never really there's nothing that really ties the narrative together where all these captains, it just seems like it's just these interviews that are just launching points for him to talk about himself.
Right. And he could have made some kind of point about leadership or some kind of point about a shared experience that they all had.
Yeah.
But the film is not even serpentine. It is just disjointed. It's more like free jazz than jazz.
It is, yeah, definitely.
It's
free
like
jazz.
a toot 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 toot. I don't know where this is going. This is bebopping and scat jazzing all over the place.
Yeah, and he has because when he interviews the captains, the time he spends actually interviewing them is very short comparatively to how much he talks about himself.
And him spending time at conventions and stuff like that. Him
Yes.
walking around conventions and kind of waxing poetical on what it means to be a captain takes up approximately half the film.
Yes.
And the other half is interviews.
Other half is interviews. And yeah, especially with and I think you could see the faces of the Patrick Stewart, because he interviews Patrick Stewart, Scott Bakula, Avery Brooks, Kate Mulgrew, Chris Pine, and who else? I think that's it, right?
Yeah, you got it.
Yep. And each actor, you kind of see the realization on their face when they're just like, oh, we're here to talk about you.
Right.
Like, we're not here.
Except I would make an exception to that. I think he actually does an interview with Scott Bakula for the most part.
The Scott Bakula one is, I think
I
you're right.
think he has more respect for Scott Bakula
Yeah.
than any of the other people he interviews.
Yes.
And I think there's something to be said about him being an older white man. Because he also does seem to have like a reverence for Patrick Stewart as well.
But I also think like there is a sort of like a bit of contention between them, I think, because
because he
the
took
generation.
over, basically. Yeah.
And generations, like,
Right.
William Shatner died,
And he talked a lot about how he died in Generations. And
Yes.
and he centers his own narrative on like him thinking about death.
yes.
Like yeah, we'll talk about that near the end because that's like kind of the end of the film and it doesn't make any sense to me. But
It really is, yeah.
yeah. So let's talk about the Kate Mulgrew part where he talks
Yes.
about being a woman.
Yeah. That was so bad.
So like he like drills her about like so like is it okay for like a captain to be a woman because she's got the hormonal stuff and whatever going on, and then points out that maybe like it's men have a lack of hormones and that might be equally as disadvantageous. And I was like, what? Do you not he doesn't understand hormones at all.
And he makes a point of also like saying like, do you feel like a female Star Trek captain has like affected how women are seen as caregivers or something? Like,
Yeah.
that was incredibly weird.
It was,
And
and
he was
it's,
trying
it's
to-
contentious too. It's like Kate Mulgrew was like pushing back on him the whole time.
She was, and I feel really
Like gracefully, like
very graceful. She handles it.
Yeah, she handles it really well, and well, I mean, she handles it okay. She should have like stood up to walk out on the interview and been like, like just because you have a little dick doesn't mean shit, Bill.
Yeah, like you definitely see like from the beginning of the interview. It's like I think she has that expectation that he is there to interview her, but you see like the realization on her face and that, oh no, I'm here to stroke your ego.
Yeah.
Like I am here to interview you. And you see that sort of change happen. She handles it gracefully. I mean, there is like a point where he goes, where she shares a story and he's like, well, that reminds me of something that happened to me.
Right.
And she's like, of course.
Yeah. Basically, his interview subjects, he tries to make them mirrors
Yes.
just to reflect everything back onto him for the most part.
Absolutely.
And like, so like, I mean, and there's something to be said for that, for like having like a shared experience thing, but like, it's more like William Shatner being like, well, this is how my life is your life like that?
Yeah.
To most people. And then when their life isn't like that, he either avoids it, like with Brooks, or with Mulgrew, he like excoriates her for some reason about it.
Yeah.
It's like, fucking leave her alone. Like, what? I mean, first off, this is like 300 years in the future. 400 years in the future. Like,
Yeah.
your questions about like, is it okay for a man or a woman to be this or that, is like made especially silly by the fact that it's 300 or 400 years in the fucking future.
Yeah.
But also, like, that shouldn't be a question now. Women are capable. Women are more capable than men for the most part.
Yeah, you can see like he's he's definitely trying to apply, and that's where I feel like, yeah, we talk about like a lot of the captains or some Star Trek actors not actually understanding their character, and like William Shatner is definitely someone who doesn't understand the kind of world that Star Trek posits, where it's just like where it's beyond like misogyny, but beyond racism.
He doesn't understand he's supposed to be Gene Roddenberry.
Yes,
And he's not Gene Roddenberry.
Gene
His character was Gene Roddenberry,
Yeah.
but he's not very good at being Gene Roddenberry.
No, and it was very, very cringe watching him try to fit. And again, this also probably goes back to the box allegory, where he was trying to fit Kate Mulgrew.
I am the man in the box.
He was trying to fit Kate Mulgrew into that box, and she doesn't fit in that box. That's
No.
not the box for her. She she is outside of that box. And
Yeah.
so I guess that is sort of like,
She got her own wet box. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
but she's just like, no, I mean, I was bringing something completely different to this to the idea of a Star Trek captain. I was, the first female captain not the first female captain,
but the first lead role
leading in the series, and and we don't really get a lot of her personal perspectives on how that changed, like because we spend a lot of time just focused on William Shatner.
right
So it's just like, and I do like that they did have to include like interviews from like they included, like as you said, like the Kira and Odo interviews, and we also got like Robert Picardo talking about how great Kate Mulgrew was as a leader.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also got Connor Trenier, who played Trip Tucker in Enterprise, talking about how much he liked Scott Bakula and how like Scott Bakula brought the energy to the set and like kept everyone going.
Yeah, and that's definitely like the one thing that I don't think like William Shatner intended was just like how well the ensemble cast and the other Star Trek shows actually got along. Right. Because just as William Shatner famously did not get along with a lot of his co-stars, the fact like him and Takai still have a contentious relationship, where I think just recently was trading barbs online.
All the time.
So it's just like where William Shatner basically burned his bridges with all of his cast, like you definitely see that come through with the others. That was not the case with them. They're much more like they much more saw it as an ensemble cast and as working together, and like where Avery Brooks and like Kate Mulgrew kind of just led by example among the cast, like just like setting it up, like being like professional and wanting to bring like their best with their acting and everything else, interpretation of their character.
Absolutely. Although I will say I don't feel like Voyager is as much of like a close cast as the rest of them. Like TNG and DS9, both of those casts, and Enterprise, honestly, especially like listening to like the Shuttle Pod show, like all those folks seem to be like really like good friends still.
Yeah.
Whereas you don't really see a ton of the Voyager cast, except for like I know Jerry Ryan and Robert Picardo are still really good friends,
and he's really good friends with Kate Mulgrew.
There's a couple people, but like you never see like. And then also, Robert Duncan McNeil and Harry Kim, what's his name? They're obviously friends because they do the show together. Yeah,
the Delta Flyers.
Yeah,
and I think Armin Shimmerman I just saw is going to be on the show.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And also Jake and Nog. They also had a podcast until
Nog passed.
Until Nog passed.
Yeah. But now isn't I want to say fucking Denise Crosby was joining them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I love that.
They were going to go through TNG, I think, or whatever.
And that is also like one revelation though I did like in this, just like when Patrick Stewart was able to have a way of a chance to talk, but like I remember like one thing that stuck with me with his interview is he was able to talk about how like initially when they were filming TNG, like he felt like everyone was like having too much fun, and everyone was, and he thought people were goofing around too much, and he's
because he came from like theater, which you mentioned, and is like a lot of people saw it as like a step down because before he was playing, Richard
King Lear,
exactly, like Hamlet, and he was like doing these big productions, and he was like the big actor, and then he went to a genre show, which was seen by a lot of his peers, I guess, as like a big step down. Even though it had been done by like Christopher Plummer before him and stuff like that. And I don't know.
Yeah, but I did like that sort of like how it almost kind of mirrored his growth as Captain Picard on TNG, where the final episode it shows him joining poker.
Yeah,
like where Captain Picard kind of kept himself separate and wanted from the crew like emotionally. And at the end, he comes in and that where he was talking about how he kind of like was trying to make everyone act more professional and stuff, and then then like then the rest of the crew talk to him.
Oh, yeah,
and we're just
you were always welcome. And then I cry every fucking time, every goddamn time. I'm a fucking baby,
but like
little baby.
But in the crew, like, you know, when Patrick Stewart was trying to say like, oh well, you know, they're trying to they're like, hey, Patrick Stewart, fucking goof around, be silly.
Yeah.
It's like that's what you're, and then like, you know, and then that's when he kind of like lets his guard down and he joins them more and becomes more of like, you know, like comrade, yeah. And you can see that, you know, Patrick Stewart, like he's still friends with basically everyone on that show.
Yeah. And you see him like in interviews and stuff, and like when he's speaking, like everyone like looks at him fondly, and like not as fondly as Jonathan Frakes, but
yeah,
Jonathan Frakes.
But like, yeah, I mean, like season 3 of Picard wouldn't have been worked unless he had that sort of good relationship with his co-stars.
Right, and had that like attention and command and like almost leadership still.
Where like, you know, in Generations they couldn't get anybody to be with. They couldn't get like you know, people to star with him on Generations at the beginning. Like they had to get Scotty and Chekhov, to take the places of like Spock and McCoy,
right? Because,
you know, and then no one else would appear.
Yeah, which is crazy
because
that,
it's like
they have so much disdain for him that they're just going to miss out on a giant payday for spending a day on set.
Yes, and you kind of that's a kind of where you pick up on a lot of like William Shatner, where there's a lot of scenes where he's acting very just like personable. He seems like he's very willing to talk to people. Yeah. But then the more he talks to them, the contempt that he has for people, he can barely mask. Right. He seems like he definitely seems like someone that seems happy and approachable until you really start talking to him, and he's just like, okay, this guy's a fucking asshole.
It's obvious he's like very self-involved.
Yeah, and that's really where I wish like this had another director, another interviewer that could have like not made the subject matter about themselves, where we are actually just seeing like more like allow these like the other actors to talk more about their experiences rather than like being only like a way to connect to a story about William Shatner.
Right. And it's really weird. It's one of the only like documentaries I've ever seen where the interviewer lets the interviewee ask him questions often.
Yes.
And like one of my favorite, and maybe the most telling thing in like the entire film is when he's talking to Kate Mulgrew after he asks her like what she thinks about like what happens after death and stuff. She asks him, what are you afraid of?
Yeah.
And he goes off on like losing all this. And he talks about like loss and stuff earlier, and that he like talks about his divorce and stuff, and how, you know, he like really connects with Scott Bakula talking about divorce and losing a bunch of money on divorce.
And that's something that he can't connect with Avery Brooks, because he also does the same with Patrick Stewart.
Yeah, exactly. And actually, it brings me. I did some research here. I wondered who are the most divorced Star Trek captains.
Oh yeah.
So I'd like you to guess, like, who is the most and least divorced Star Trek captain on this movie?
I think Patrick Stewart. I think Patrick Stewart mentioned he had 2 divorces.
You are correct. He has had 2 divorces and 1 current marriage. So we have a possibility for a third there. But that is not correct in that he's not the most divorced. But you did get right that he had 2 divorces.
Yeah.
But you know who else has had 2 divorces?
Scott Bakula.
No. Scott Bakula has had 1 divorce, and then he's currently married.
Oh, okay, good.
Someone I didn't expect, Kate Mulgrew, has been divorced twice.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
And she is not currently married.
You know who the least divorced one is?
Absolutely.
Avery fucking Brooks.
Yeah, or Chris Pine, because Chris Pine's never been married.
Chris Pine's never been married.
But Avery Brooks has been married to the same person for like
1976.
Like for like 50 years. So.
Yeah, and that's one thing I saw where I think like, as we said, like, you know, he's trying to see everyone through. See all the actors through his own life experiences, and that's something that he couldn't connect to Avery Brooks about, and I think it was a point of like a bit of a almost started an argument where he was trying to be like, have you felt that you lost any sort of connections through this or something. And Avery Brooks is like, you always do, or something. He's just like,
Yeah.
but Avery Brooks has been married happily since 1976.
Right,
And he's just-
right.
And he's just like, yeah, of course, and
Yeah, and it was the thing, the catalyst that made him decide to go back to teaching and acting,
Yes.
not on screen anymore.
not on screen. And
Yeah.
you definitely see that where he like Avery Brooks definitely like fights back against like him, like William Shatner trying to pigeonhole Avery Brooks into this thing that's not him.
Right, because and Avery Brooks points this out in a song. So Avery Brooks, it should be mentioned, like midway through his interview, not midway, kind of at the beginning of his interview, after they go to his house and sit down at a piano,
Yeah.
he starts just playing piano music for most of his interview.
And it rules.
It's so cool.
and I feel it's a way of him trying to drown William Shatner out.
Right. And so he'll just like start singing a song, and then William Shatner will like cut in and start
Oh my
singing his
God.
own lyrics
It
to
was
it.
the worst. Like when William Shatner was trying to just free jazz with Avery Brooks, like you see anytime like William Shatner started singing, you see like Avery Brooks wince.
You do, but at the same time, he also like laughs a lot too, because
He does laugh at him.
And it's in a like oh, you're a dumbass white boy kind of
Yeah,
way.
your song fucking sucks.
Yeah, like the first time he cuts into sing, Shatner sings like, "Well, you asked me," he like fucking. Before that, Brooks is singing like about a girl he loved or something like that, and then like Shatner's like, "Well, you asked me here to interview you," and I'm like, "What is going on?"
Yeah.
But then the one that I really wanted to point out is Shatner is like singing later on one of his songs on one of while Brooks is playing piano, and Brooks is singing. He sings, "You look at me," and then Shatner cuts in and says, "Think," and Brooks says, "No, doubt."
Doubt. Yes.
So he calls in song Shatner out for doubting him.
yeah,
And doubting his experience.
and that was also following like again like Shatner trying to pigeonhole him again, like saying like that Avery Brooks is somehow unfulfilled,
Right.
or didn't reach his full potential or something, and Avery Brooks is like, that's not me at all.
Yeah.
Like he like because like yeah, like to William Shatner, like this is all he has. Like he's fucking like 90 something years old now. He's still fucking like milking the fucking Star Trek thing.
And that, like, the big difference between these two people, and like I think the basic fundamental difference between their life experiences, besides one being a white man in the 60s and another being a black man,
Yeah.
like the giant fundamental difference between the two people, besides that, is like I totally forgot my point. I'm sorry. Oh yes, I'm sorry. I got it again. Is like what they've done with their lives. Like all Shatner can really give to people anymore, and this film proves it, is recognition.
Yes.
Recognizing like, hey, that was Captain Kirk.
Yeah.
That kind of recognition.
I'm Captain Kirk. Remember me? I'm Captain Kirk.
Whereas Brooks, what he's devoting his life to, he's a fucking professor for acting.
Yes.
He's passing his deep knowledge down to a new generation of people.
Yep.
And so he, in that way, will live forever in a way.
Yeah.
Whereas, Shatner, once we've got like holographic shit or like holodecks or whatever, and we no longer watch TV, fucking Shatner's gone. Poof.
Yeah, and that is true, because he there I don't think Shatner really understands other people seek fulfillment, seek in their lives in different ways, and Avery Brooks is leading the life that exactly the life that he wants to lead.
Yes.
Like he is a professor. He's still a stage actor. He's done stage performances. He's a director. he's not as seen as, not going out there and peddling himself and trying to make everyone be like I'm the guy, I'm Cisco.
Like Brooks is living his best life, and you know how I know that? He lives in a place that looks exactly like the New York City apartment he has from Far Beyond the Stars. It's like this kind of like smoky wooden jazz house.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Brooks is leading his best life, but because it's not what Shatner expects.
Because he's not on the convention circuit,
not on the convention,
Shatner and like getting recognized all the time.
Yeah, like trying to just go on the convention circuit, like just make everyone know that he's he's Captain Kirk and all that shit. And it's just like, no, it's like he doesn't need that. and I feel that is like one of the things in that where Shatner was not able to be a good interviewer because he couldn't allow Avery Brooks to just do the talking.
Right.
where he could just like allow Avery Brooks to talk about his own perspective, about his own approach to the character and his own ideals, his own expectations, and his own life.
Well, and that's the thing. It's like in this film, Shatner refuses to center the narrative around anybody else.
Yeah.
He absolutely refuses to. Like, he'll let them talk about their experience, but only in relation to his experience.
Yep. Even like with the Chris Pine interview was very interesting.
It was very short.
Very short.
It was a little bit at the beginning and a little bit at the end, and it was pretty terse, I felt too.
It was, and I definitely felt like Chris Pine was also approaching William Shatner with a bit of antagonism, because I felt like he was also already very guarded talking to William Shatner.
Yeah.
And I felt, and which for good reason, I felt like, I think like, because like as what you said, like the interview starts with with William Shatner having that table in the middle of the sidewalk.
Right.
And like Chris Pine walks up, he's like, okay, a table in the middle of the sidewalk. Okay,
sure, fine. Let's
and it starts off with them, like arm wrestling,
right?
And I felt that okay, that was cute. That kind of made sense, but but it also sets the tone. Basically, sets the tone for how he does actually approach each of one of these captains. Where it's a power of wills, him wanting to dominate them, and him wanting to just come out on top.
Right. He has the need to be the captain.
The captain. And it makes sense, actually visualizing it has a arm wrestling competition where, with this other guy now playing Kirk, Chris Pine playing Kirk, but he does it in a very unconscious way, or maybe intentional way, but more hidden with all the other captains.
Right.
And so it starts off with him like arm wrestling them, but obviously like Chris Pine beats his ass.
Yeah. Yeah.
But because he does Chris Pine's a much younger, stronger man. But yeah, the interview was very short because, it starts off with William Shatner questioning about his previous work, which actually, and they bring up a film that actually wasn't previous work. It actually came out after Star Trek 2009. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Because I wanted to check on that, and I was just like, no, that film he's talking about actually came out that year.
I should actually go back and retract a statement. I said Christopher Plummer was a theater actor who went to Star Trek before Patrick Stewart. That's totally wrong, because Star Trek 6 came out well after TNG started. So yes. Sorry. Yeah. Just had to. I've been thinking about that. I'm like, I'm such a fucking idiot. So fucking stupid.
But it was funny because he brings up William Shatner's question about the Train movie he did, and he's just like, I also was in a Train movie. That's Chris Pine barely gets to share anything, and then he immediately starts talking.
Right, and that's Shatner trying to make that relation and shared experience to recenter himself around the conversation around himself, which there's a part, I think near the end of Chris Pine's interview, where Chris Pine says something like, I met some of the best friends of my life on set here, and it's only a couple years after Star Trek 2009 came out. It's and these people have only made 2 films together maybe at this point, and he's probably filming the second one at this point, and they're already some of the best friends of his life, and that's something that Shatner can't relate to because he doesn't have any best friends from TOS at all.
No.
He doesn't. I don't know if he has anyone from TOS that'll still call him in 2011.
Absolutely not. And that is very that really honestly should be the subject where, because it's definitely not his intention making these films, but it comes out regardless. Whereas just like seeing these other actors that actually have like that aren't megalomaniacs like him, that don't cut out everyone else and just so he can be ahead,
right?
And they have long lasting friendships, friendships that have literally, especially with Chris Pine was saying that he made friends on this, and same with the other actors like Patrick Stewart, Avery Brooks, and Kate Mulgrew, Scott Bakula.
Yeah.
They form decades-long friendships.
Yeah, and you'll still see it on Comic-Con panels and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like these people, even though especially from like Star Trek 2009, they haven't worked together in a long time, and they only worked for 3 brief periods together, but they're still all great friends.
Yeah, still great friends that still talk to each other, and William Shatner is isolated from all of this, and I feel this would have been a much more compelling documentary if someone else had handled this material.
Right. Because I think the core of the documentary and what I took away from it is really that true leadership is about abdicating the need for it.
Yes.
Like saying, I don't need to be the leader, and then just leading by example because you are ostensibly the person in charge because, that's the character you're playing.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was definitely true because and especially with What We Left Behind, I don't think Avery Brooks is actually interviewed in that, but but everyone talking about Avery Brooks.
Everyone loves Avery Brooks.
Everyone loves him, and they talk about just setting that example of what they need to match. Just like the professionalism and the desire to just give 110% and better to the material is something that he brought to the table, and that he expected more, and everyone, even though he wasn't saying this, everyone else felt compelled to also raise their game and give that same sort of commitment and effort and professionalism and to the part, and that's something that Avery Brooks did. He did soft leadership. Yeah. just led by example. And you see that, I mean the fact that he still has such an amazing relationship with Sarah Lofton, who played Jake, his son. Yeah. They still have they formed a sort of father and son relationship.
Yeah. Sarah Lofton has said that I kind of think of him as my second dad.
Yeah,
which is really sweet.
Yeah, it's so sweet, and you love to see that because just Avery Brooks is such a good person. He has what William Shatner wishes he has, because Shatner
big fucking dick.
But William Shatner wants to be loved.
Yeah.
He wants recognition. He wants to be respected.
He wants musical talent.
He has none of those things. And you see Avery Brooks has achieved all of that. Just by not being a fucking megalomaniac shithead.
Yeah, he's achieved all of that and doesn't need it.
He
doesn't feel the need for it like Shatner does. Like this I don't know.
This compulsion.
Yeah, a compulsion to have to be in the spotlight.
Yes. Yeah, and I feel like that's when he was saying, kind of fighting Avery Brooks almost about this is all that you expected, and Avery Brooks is yeah, of course, this because Avery Brooks is fulfilled.
Yeah, he's a complete human being.
He's a complete human being.
He's a fully formed, real ass adult that has gotten over the traumas in his life that would prevent him from being a better person.
Yeah, and whereas William Shatner is out here begging you to love him, but he does it in such a roundabout way, and it's very evident, and it's very pathetic in a way, because I definitely got that a lot from this, is just Shatner's patheticness, coming through, and it was a very sad documentary in a way, because it's almost you're watching this man just 80 years old, and because I think he was like, what, 80 something years old at this point. How old is he now? He's like 96?
93.
Yeah,
so he was probably 81 or so.
Yeah, I mean, that's funny. He's 81 in this, and he looks great.
He looks pretty good
for 81.
Yeah, I mean, his style is pretty consistent. He wears a lot of pink button-up shirts in this.
Yeah,
and he wears a couple suits, but like the same pink button-up shirt.
Yeah. But it's just sad that like he's 81 years old and he has nothing to really fulfill him.
Right.
Like he is completely empty.
Right.
Like he is a completely empty person, and where these other people have like fulfilled their lives in other ways. Avery Brooks, and they have found that they're fulfilled. They don't have that hunger where they just need they understand who they are as people, where William Shatner does not.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a truth that he even picks up from doing these interviews.
No, I don't think it's a thing he's picked up in life at all.
He's 93 now,
90,
you said?
93. And by the way, I totally forgot to tell you, the most divorced captain.
Oh yeah,
Shatner.
Oh yeah,
four times.
4 times.
4 divorces, and I believe he made this film between marriages. So
wow,
it would
At 81, you're still getting married. Like I would just be like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'd be like, no. I mean, if I'm divorced at 81,
yeah, it's like my dick don't work no more. Like, if I'm
on death's door.
Yeah, if I'm as rich as him, like I could just buy companionship and shit. Like,
yeah. But yeah, that's what that shows. Like, yeah, he has enough money to be comfortable. Still has nothing, and that it would be a more compelling documentary if he does discover some truth about himself, but he doesn't. Like, there's no.
Right.
Like, as we said, like, this is a documentary about William Shatner, and William Shatner achieves no growth. There's zero growth. Like, we don't see him sort of like learn from the captains, because I guess it's because he's just not letting them talk, but it's just like, but he doesn't learn anything from them. Like, he's trying to pigeonhole them. Trying to
redirect to himself.
Try to redirect him to himself. So he's not like picking up anything, like not seeing where they are in their lives, because basically they're all like in periods, except for Chris Pine, towards the end of their careers almost. Obviously, and they're at points where you should feel where you should start feeling fulfilled and settling down and slowing down. And where Shatner is just like trying to be like, where are you living? And he doesn't seem to understand, like, he's not having that growth.
No.
He's never had that growth.
I feel like he just has no joy. He does not have a joyous life. It seems like he's just perpetually working and traveling to fucking conventions, probably in order to, I don't know, line his pockets a little more, and also, he just
pay
for some alimony and shit.
Last year, he actually came to like a very shitty like convention outside of Tacoma. That I didn't want to go to. I was like, eh. And like I was just like, and it's just like just he definitely seems like he doesn't have the thing that a 90-something-year-old man should have at this point.
Right, which is, enough money to retire first and foremost. And like he should just be enjoying himself. Everyone would be fine if he never went to another convention again.
But that's the thing. Like, he has money. He has money to retire. One thing he doesn't have is love.
Right.
He doesn't have he doesn't have that. He doesn't have the thing that actually would make you feel fulfilled.
Right.
And so he's still trying to get it, whereas like everyone else is sort of like they're all gone to pasture, basically. Like, obviously, like Patrick Stewart and Kate Mulgrew, they're still returning to the series, but in ways that we talked about Picard, like we're not but Kate Mulgrew, I think her return that was great to Star Trek. Yes,
I love Prodigy.
And excellent, and it keeps in with her character.
Absolutely.
And I feel like everyone else has kind of like reached that, and like, Avery Brooks, he's found his niche. Like everyone else, Scott Bakula found his niche. Everyone's found that sort of like what they're looking for in life, except William Shatner.
Right. Absolutely. And William Shatner definitely fears his mortality, too. And it's very evident in this film because the last question he asks most of the captains is, what happens when you die?
Yeah.
Which is like, dude, what? Like, it's a weird 180 question from the entirety of all of the interviews so far.
And also like an 81-year-old man, like, you know, terrified of death. And I think also speaks to his unfulfillment in life.
Yeah.
Because he definitely feels like hasn't, you know, other people should be like at this point, you know, you're 81, you should be thankful for whatever years you have next.
Right.
But kind of like know that death is on.
You're on death's doorstep. It's
You're
fine.
on death's doorstep.
Yeah,
It's
you're
fine.
1 foot in the grave. Like, if I'm 80 years old, I'm like, I could die any day, so I'm gonna do fun shit and like try to relax until I die.
Yeah, I would not be doing a convention circuit at fucking
Fuck
90
no.
years old.
No
I'd just
way.
be like,
I wouldn't be going on a plane unless it was to a warm place.
Yeah. I would be on a beach. I'd be in a lounge chair reading or watching TV. You're doing something relaxing. I wouldn't be fucking like feeling I have to like go sign a bunch of things and have people like tell me how much they love me.
Right.
Like I feel like I hope by 90 years old I have those people in my life that I love that are next to me. Not like I need to do it right before I die. I need some stranger to tell me they love me. You know.
Absolutely. And we get some interesting responses to this question, what happens when you die? Scott Bakula says something like, we're not our bodies, and the soul goes someplace around us. Kind of like...
I do love Scott Bakula's answer to that.
Yeah.
Like they're having like this conversation in a very weird diner.
Right.
Like a diner looks fucked
yeah.
up from the outside.
Yeah, and fucking... and Shatner's like, what, no pearly gates? No hell? And Bakula's like, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pretty cool.
I love Scott Bakula.
Scott Bakula's great.
I love him.
Yeah.
I love him. Like I do feel like
He's got such divorced dad energy.
He does
and
have divorced
It kind of rules. It kind of rules.
and also he is like another person that feels like they know who they are, they know what they like,
Yeah.
and he's able to talk. I do feel he does do the best talking with William Shatner, and and also I thought it was funny that they have like their initial conversation on a horse farm or something,
Right.
Where because Shatner wants to show off the fact that he's a really good horse rider,
Right.
and like
And they're both just sitting on horses for a while.
yeah,
It's pretty cool.
but like and also I think Scott Bakula also understands Star Trek because like, you know, things that he's said in the past, and also I think he gives a very Star Trek type answer of just like this all-encompassing soul or something something then that goes off to somewhere, you know?
Right. Our energy still exists.
Our energy still exists, because like he I feel he gets it. I feel he's a very like interesting dude. Like I would love to see more interviews with Scott Bakula.
Yeah, and so Bakula kind of puts the question back to Shatner and asks him, like, what do you think happens after death? And Shatner goes into this weird thing for a couple minutes about how he thought about dying a lot when he had Kirk die in Star Trek Generations. And he said he had two thoughts when playing Kirk's death. The first one was the death of Captain Kirk that he imagined before and like what it would be like, and and then the second thought was, oh my.
Yeah.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Oh my.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely thought like, that made sense because he's going where no man's gone before, or really has gone before, but he hasn't.
Right.
To the afterlife, you know, he's seeing whatever is behind that, but as we see, as we know that William Shatner didn't like the fact that he was killed off, and later wrote The Return, where Captain Kirk is brought back to life by Borg and Romulan technology.
Cool.
So that, again, that's showing. Yeah, like Shatner's fear of death, Shatner wanting to be immortal, Shatner always wanting to be loved and admired, because like because like the book starts off with like like a whole honor guard going to like pick up the remains of revered Captain Kirk, and so like it just shows that sort of like where he feels like getting the respect that he feels he deserves.
Right. And I feel like there's a huge disconnect within him in that he just doesn't realize that he is not Captain Kirk. Captain Kirk is a character that is played that has been played by 3 different people.
Three
at this
different
point.
people, yeah.
You know, I mean,
More if we're counting the
yeah, if Star Trek continues and the fan productions, hundreds of people probably.
hundreds of people. And everyone's got a Captain Kirk impression too.
Yeah, they do.
They have a Captain Kirk
Everybody has a Captain Kirk impression.
Spock, I am dying every day.
Spock, why don't you pucker up that sweet little asshole for me? I'll put some silicone-based lube on and fuck your asshole. So I think my favorite answer to the question, what happens when you die, though, I mean, easily my favorite answer. My favorite answer to anything in this entire film is Avery motherfucking Brooks.
Oh, yeah.
Shatner asks, what happens when you die? And Avery Brooks just starts playing the piano. And then he laughs a couple times. And I'm like, at this point, I'm like, this motherfucker's stoned as hell.
I think it's also like, you know, Avery Brooks doesn't know. And I feel like
the only lyrics he has to the song where at the very end he goes, I wish I knew.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I think that shows humility because you definitely get the sense where, yeah, like William Shatner is living his life to avoid death and his fear of death. Where it's like he asks like Avery Brooks, and you know Avery Brooks is up there in age himself.
Oh yeah, he's got to be in his 70s.
He's in his 70s. And you know he gets posed the question and he's just like, I don't know, I haven't been thinking about it. Basically, that's like, you know, he's just living his life.
Yeah, that's not important to his life because he's not about to die or anything. You know, he's not in ill health. So if he dies tomorrow, you know, he left his legacy.
And if it happens, it happens. It's just like it's something that's clearly something that's he's not thinking about because he's too busy living.
Right.
Like he's actually living a life that he wants.
Once again, because he's a real ass, 100% human adult being.
Yes, he's a human adult being. Where William Shatner's fear of death is almost childlike.
Well, he kind of looks like a big baby.
He's almost like the children in the one episode with Tuvok, where he goes to the planet where people have Benjamin Button disease, and like all the children are actually old people and they're terrified of death.
Right, and that's the one where Neelix is like, I don't know how I feel about this.
Yeah.
On one hand, their bodies are children.
Yeah.
I think I am okay with it, Mr. Vulcan.
I'm okay with it. But yeah, it's just Avery Brooks does have the best reaction because it's sad. I think it shows humility and I think it shows just
playfulness.
Yeah,
like, it's so playful. It's so funny.
And just like he's not obsessing about death. And he also doesn't obsess about himself the way William Shatner obsesses about himself. Because William Shatner, I think, believes that his death is going to cause a rift in the space-time continuum. Like people are going to be wailing. They're going to have there
will be some of that.
There will be some of that.
I mean, Twitter will kind of melt down the day that Trek Twitter will melt down the day that Shatner dies.
Yes, but
I'm looking forward to it.
I think he's expecting some sort of like Kim Jong-un type thing. People will be wailing, going, no! This is like
people self-immolating.
Yes, people self-immolating. But yeah, that'll probably happen in some capacity. But just like, but yeah, who is dreading death the most is William Shatner. At 93 years old, he's still just like not content with just like passing from this mortal realm, and he should. Honestly, you should be. He should be, but instead he's like going to convention centers and going through the motions. Yeah, and that was like he included something in this that was like really telling, and I don't think he should have included it at all. It was kind of a weird thing for him to do, but it's him going around a convention center and like talking to all of like a bunch of like guest actresses that used to be on different Star Trek shows, and he tells all of them, oh, the prettiest girl who was ever on Star Trek or something like that. And he does that to like 3 or 4 women. Yes, and it's clear like they're just being very polite to him because it's at a convention and they're in public. Right. You can't be a dick to Shatner at a convention unless you're like Avery Brooks or something. Yeah, because it's very telling. Like, yeah, like as I said, like, you know, a lot of people in 2011 were still around. I think wasn't was like Leonard Nimoy was still alive.
Yeah.
Leonard Nimoy was still
alive until,
alive.
like,
Nichelle
2013,
Nichols, like George Takei, obviously still alive. Walter Koenig, like they're all alive.
Yeah, everyone but Scotty and Bones.
Everyone but Scotty and Bones. And none of them make any sort of appearance in this. And that's also another reason why I feel he had to make it about the captains and not about himself, because he couldn't like have like a conversation do a documentary about TOS, because none of those no one else.
No one's returning his calls.
No one's returning his calls. No one wants to be on his fucking asshole documentary. And so like so he's like, well, who can I call up? I know, like, people who don't know me that well.
Yeah,
So
people who like respect me until I talk to them.
they respect me professionally, perhaps, maybe, I don't know,
Maybe.
but they feel they probably owe me something since I'm the original captain. And and yeah, and it's just like, because that's the thing, like, there is a lot of talking about William Shatner's life, and he definitely makes sure to focus a lot of the attention, like, and a lot of the backstory on himself. Like, he talks a lot about his early days and on stage and stuff like that, and get a lot of that. But yeah, one thing we don't ever get, is any perspective from his co-stars,
Except for Christopher Plummer, who was in a film with him.
A film,
And
Star Trek
also
6.
worked on stage with him briefly as well. So.
Yeah, and it was telling where Christopher Plummer was talking about how he didn't want to have a very Klingon like makeup. He wanted very subtle Klingon makeup, because he didn't want to act with all that shit on himself.
Right.
And so he was talking about how he went to the director. He's just like, I knew I couldn't go to you, and you see like William Shatner's kind of gets hurt by that,
Right?
Because Christopher Plummer knew he couldn't go to fucking like Kirk,
Because it wasn't Star Trek 5.
it was Star Trek 5.
He couldn't do shit.
Yeah, and so I thought that was really funny, but he does get also. But I do feel like Christopher Plummer is, he's, he was able to talk. He talked pretty freely. I did think that was a good interview, but I think it's because, like, yeah, he definitely seemed like William Shatner approached him with a little bit more respect than he did the other captains. But that was just an interview. But yeah, it was like, but that was the only person he could really get back who has worked with him professionally to be in this interview,
Which is honestly fucking pathetic.
Honestly pathetic, because like I feel like Christopher Plummer probably doesn't even know him that well.
Right. And he was in LA for part of this. That's when he was talking to Chris Pine.
Yeah.
And I know at least Walter Koenig lives in LA.
Yeah.
Or thereabouts. So,
Yeah.
I mean, he could have gotten him. I'm pretty sure that, Nimoy probably lived around LA too.
Yeah, I'm sure Nichelle Nichols and stuff like that. Yeah. Like,
George Takei. George Takei's got to live in LA.
He's got to. I think he definitely does.
Yeah, because he's on like fucking late night talk shows in LA all the time.
Didn't hit up any of them. And yeah, I mean, that's just shows like, that's the thing. Like, he was trying to have a William Shatner documentary without anyone that's actually worked with him on personally. And I think even Patrick Stewart, though, he makes a comment how, like, in the early days of Star Trek, like, he makes a comment that Patrick Stewart, like, you could see in real time Patrick Stewart sort of like try to soften the blow for Shatner, and because like he's trying to describe like Shatner's presence on set during the early days of TNG, like, because he said like, and like he was kind of trying to say that he was kind of like an overbearing presence, on set, and but then like you kind of see, since he's talking to him, you see Patrick Stewart like rethink what he's saying and soften it in real time.
Right. Is that the part where he talked briefly about Gene Roddenberry, I think
so,
yeah. And he said like Gene sometimes didn't know what he was doing, and he was just like kind of working on instinct. Yeah. So yeah, this was a movie.
This was a movie. Have we talked about the overbearing piano music?
No, we haven't talked about the soundtrack yet. So the soundtrack,
It's jazz, baby.
Jazz. Just the piano music was obnoxious to me. Like,
it was fine to me, but I'm fine with I listen to a lot of Dave Brubeck.
You do. I mean, I'm fine.
I don't. That's a lie. I don't listen to. You do. Shut up. Yeah. You don't know me, Pat.
You don't know me.
You don't know what piano. I like Al Jarreau.
You're like Al Johnson. No, but like, yeah, like the piano music, though, over top of the interviews is awful. Like, it's hard to concentrate on what they're saying because I feel like they're competing with the soundtrack that William Shatner has put over top of them.
Which is like basically he just like put a mic under the piano at Nordstrom and
I definitely feel like he had someone watching this because like a lot of the piano music follows the cadence of what the people are saying.
Right.
So like
it'd be great if it would be so much better if he had Avery Brooks soundtrack it.
It would have, and because that's the one place where the piano music that William Shatner adds himself makes zero appearance because Avery Brooks is playing piano himself, but also I did like that they didn't include that overbearing piano music over top of Avery Brooks, and Avery Brooks provides his own way to drown out William Shatner.
yeah, that's actually brilliant of him to do. Yeah. So yeah, that's the film. Did we cover everything?
One other thing I want to talk about is we talked about William Shatner at the conventions. One thing that also pissed me off was when William Shatner was at the convention and basically doing making fun of all the captains. Yes. Where he was basically like, I'm doing a documentary called The Captains, and talking to these guys, and when he started talking about Avery Brooks, it's like, Avery Brooks, he's out there.
Yeah, right.
And like I think I like threw down shit. And I stood up, like stanced up, like I'm gonna fight this motherfucker. I'm like, don't you say square up? Square up.
What'd you say? Square up.
What'd you say about Avery Brooks?
We have a problem here.
We have a problem. Yeah, he was making fun of everyone that he just interviewed. Like, I mean, you can kind of see it as like good-natured ribbing, but from him it doesn't seem that way. Where he wasn't like just sort of like making fun of them in a respectful way. It definitely felt like he was being like, whoa, Avery Brooks, you check this guy out?
Yeah.
His head, he's out there. But ooh, it pissed me off. But and then it's interrupted by Patrick Stewart actually being there, and Patrick Stewart comes out and surprises him. I don't think he was expecting that.
Surprise, bitch.
Yeah, what'd you say about me? Because I can't remember what he says about Patrick Stewart. But I think he makes fun of him being like, stodgy or something. I can't remember, but the one that stood out to me was like him mocking Avery Brooks, and I didn't really like that.
Yeah. Oh, another thing I forgot to point out that I really didn't like is at the very beginning of the film, he makes it very clear that he's traveling the world to talk to these captains on a private jetliner.
that jet, it's a main character.
It is.
There's a lot of shots of this jet just flying through the air to piano music to him. And there are a lot of scenes of him on the jet, flying to these locations. It's definitely it definitely feels like he's showing off a lot.
Oh, absolutely.
Where
he's trying to big dick this.
Because honestly, like the jet, like all the shots of the jet, him on the jet, I would have cut out personally. It's not that's not a focus that adds nothing to the documentary besides what William Shatner wanted to do was show off that he's on a jet. But really it has
nothing to do with the movie.
Nothing to do with the movie.
Nothing at all.
And that's actually like one of the there's a lot of trivia on this under the movie database. But one of the things is about the jet. The private jet that William Shatner is flying on during the movie is a Bombardier XRS Global Express.
Cool.
Model name changed to the Bombardier Global 6000 after May 2011. So it's like, cool.
Good.
Who fucking cares?
Yeah, you have a jet.
I did not like. Yeah, the jet scenes are baffling, completely unnecessary to the story. I fucking hate William Shatner. I think that's
yeah. William Shatner sucks.
I fucking hate him. He sucks so hard.
He's pretty bad.
Yeah, like honestly, he's also my least favorite captain. If we're being honest.
I mean, it depends. I like him. I like him a good bit actually.
I'm not a big fan of TOS.
I'm not a huge fan of TOS, but I do like Kirk as a captain, as a character. I would definitely. I'd put him above whatever Discovery's captains are.
I mean, that Discovery had a lot of captains.
I'd put him above
Saru
Captain Freeman as well. Yeah. Captain Freeman's kind of a whatever character.
But she's also not the focus.
She's not centered in the series.
Yeah, she's not centered in the series. She's a supporting actress.
Right. Yeah. So, gosh,
Yeah, because what was if you I guess we kind of talked about it, but yeah, what would you think the point of this documentary was? Besides,
I mean, obviously what he's trying to get through is the captains have a shared experience and they're all leaders. But that's not what shines through to me. No, that's the obvious subtext of what he's trying to say.
Yeah.
But he doesn't say it well at all.
No.
What he pretty much says is, I'm a fucking dickhead, and all these other actors led by example, and no one will talk about me but myself.
Yeah, it honestly feels the way he approaches them, it feels like he feels they stole something from him.
Right. It's a zero-sum game, and each captain they add takes a slice of the captain pie, so he can't have a whole fucking captain pie to himself.
Yes, they any sort of fulfillment that he's getting from the roles, because obviously he mentions how he did come around to the to the fame and fame attached to being Captain Kirk much later, not until the 1970s.
Right.
Where he finally decided to go to the
convention
centers and stuff.
Then there was 15,000 people there, and he's like, "Well, 15,000 people, that's a lot of fucking money."
And he, obviously he tried to rebrand himself. He did T.J. Hooker, rescue.
Became a fucking cop.
Yeah.
Boston Legal.
Yeah, he was definitely tried to separate himself a lot from Captain Kirk, but never achieved that sort of still recognition, and I do feel like he's just been on those coattails ever since, still trying to milk for everything that it's worth. But
that's what happens when you have 4 divorces, buddy.
4 divorces.
That's splitting your income in half 4 times. It compounds.
Does he have any kids? I'm sure
he has 3 kids. He talks about it in the thing. He had all 3 of his kids pretty much while Star Trek was going on, which is kind of weird.
I'm gonna guess
because he's it's the busiest time in your life, 12 to 14-hour days. You never get to see their family, and then he's like, "Yeah, I had all 3 of my kids while we were filming Star Trek," and I'm like, "Huh." That doesn't sound responsible if you're filming a TV show that takes 12 to 14 hours of your day and you put 3 fucking babies in your life during that time. 1, fine. 2, are you going to be at home at all? 3, what are you doing?
Yeah, I do like the Spock documentary where was his name Andrew Nimoy?
That sounds right, but I don't think it is.
Yeah, I can't remember. But Nimoy, Adam Nimoy. Yeah. Adam Nimoy talks a lot about how he did feel, and that's a much better exploration of fame and just how Star Trek affected their personal lives.
Well, but also you can make a documentary about him because everyone likes Leonard Nimoy.
Everyone loves Leonard Nimoy,
and everyone's willing to come on and do an interview and be like, "Yeah, fucking Leonard's a great dude."
Yeah, that was a much more we talked What We Left Behind, much more compelling documentary about the subject. Because
it's about something. It's about DS9. It's about something. It's not about something that it's not really about. This is supposed to be about all of the captains, but it's really just about fucking William Shatner as James T. Kirk.
Yeah, it's about William Shatner, but because it's not intentional, it doesn't feel fulfilling or really that it doesn't feel like you actually learned too much, because again, we're also getting all of William Shatner's own experiences filtered through himself.
Yeah.
So we're not actually getting any sort of actual revelations or any sort of real any sort of real knowledge about the subject, because we're getting it subjectively through him.
I feel like I almost came away from this film dumber. It was an exercise on meaningless fame. You know what it was? It was an episode of Entourage about Star Trek. Yeah, is what it was. Yeah. And no, not very good.
Yeah, as for Star Trek documentaries, I will never revisit this.
No,
there doesn't seem to be a need to, and it's also so disjointed and aimless in a way. And also just mean-spirited, and just also just completely about someone who's just completely megalomaniac, I did not enjoy this movie at all.
No.
So, and I don't really care to ever revisit it.
No.
Like, I will revisit, What We Left Behind a million times.
Yeah, it's great.
Love that. It's so compelling and interesting. And same with the Spock documentary. It's very
The Spockumentary, you mean?
Spockumentary.
Thank you.
It's excellent. Like that had a lot of revelations, revealed a lot of stuff I didn't know about like Leonard Nimoy and just like about the how he handled his fame and everything else. It was very enjoyable.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, well, that tells a story.
Tells a story.
What We Left Behind tells a story. There's a narrative through line, and there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. This film is completely disjointed.
There's no there is a beginning and there is an end. None. Where the middle is where.
The middle is completely nebulous. The middle is the entire film. Like, there's 2 minutes of beginning, 2 minutes of end, and the rest of it is a weird middle.
And and because the interviews are broken up so sporadically, like you have. He spends maybe like 1 or 2 questions with each captain and then quickly goes to another one.
And so I don't know if you know this, but they actually kind of re-released this and recut it as a series called Star Trek The Captain's In Depth, in which it's like extended interviews and they're much less edited, which I'd be much more interested in seeing.
Yeah, that might actually like have something that we're not. It's not being filtered through William Shatner's ego.
Yeah, and some terrible editing. That provides no narrative or through line whatsoever.
Yeah, and it probably has no scenes of the jet.
Probably. Oh gosh, what are we going to do without the jet? It's the main character.
Yeah, what are we going to do without the jet? We need to make sure that we see William Shatner on that motherfucking jet.
Yeah, the USS Enterprise FG.
And they don't even do anything like that. That would have been cute if they at least like made the jet that he was on like look like the Enterprise.
Yeah.
Like have like NCC
1701 G Gulfstream.
Gulfstream, yeah. And just like have that on it. Just to like, just be cute or do something interesting. And if you're gonna include the fucking jet, make a reason to include the jet.
No, he rented it, so he couldn't put anything on the side.
Oh yeah. Oh, they could have done something.
He could have just, I don't know, taken a regular plane like a real person.
Yeah, I feel that's definitely where, because there were so many features of showing the jet, and especially the name of the jet. Like I was wondering if they had donated some sort of money, and maybe they had comped part of his because he flies to England to interview Patrick Stewart,
right, and he flies to Toronto to talk to someone.
Yeah, and he goes, of course, to New York, to L.A., and I'm pretty sure where is Avery Brooks living? Is he still living in Indiana somewhere?
Yeah, because that's where Records is, right?
Yeah, and so. So he's clearly like, and private jets cost quite a bit of money. So I'm wondering if that's
New Jersey. Sorry.
New Jersey. So I'm pretty sure that's probably why the jet was featured so much, because I'm sure like they were like, okay, well, we'll comp some of the price of the jet if you feature the name of the jet in this documentary. And he was like, not a problem. Well, look how
I'm the captain of this jet.
Look how luxurious this private jet is. I'm flying around on the private jet, blah 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 blah. And I was just like, cool, all right.
Yeah, well,
because he's not going to take coach. He's not going to fly coach to anywhere.
No, he's not even going to fly first class. He has to fly on a private fucking jet to go talk to other people who have the same job as him.
Yeah,
which is like, okay, dude, that's the like most privileged white thing you could possibly do.
Yeah,
cool, enjoy.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess neither of us would really recommend this.
No, I'd give this like I don't know. It depends on like what meaning you place on it. I got a lot out of this documentary, but only because like I hated it so much.
And I think, and also because like we're able to see the actual true intention of this documentary, which is just like a William Shatner vanity project.
Absolutely.
Like it's not like you're not going. If you watch it, I guess there's a caveat where if you go in and watch it, don't expect to really know anything, to learn anything about your favorite captain.
No, you won't learn anything new, really. You'll just have a greater disdain for one person, probably.
Yeah. And, if you really like, Scott Bakula, Avery Brooks, Kate Mulgrew, or Patrick Stewart, don't expect much from this.
Yeah, unless you love Avery Brooks, and then you will fall in love with him on an entirely new level.
Yeah, like honestly, like kudos to Avery Brooks for his like next level trolling of William Shatner, because
He was a jazz troll.
he's a jazz troll.
I live under a jazz bridge, baby.
Because he definitely makes William Shatner look like a fucking idiot.
It's so fucking funny.
And honestly, I was cringing whenever William Shatner was trying to sing.
It was so bad, but I enjoyed how bad it was, because it made me, it lit a fire inside. And I was just like, I hate you so much, Bill. You big piece of shit.
And then also just shows like, also like William Shatner's just like the gall of William Shatner, where like Avery Brooks is just like noodling around on the piano making a song, and then like and William Shatner feels he has to interject and sing.
Right. Yeah. He's like, oh no, this is our song now.
Yeah, this is our song.
All
No,
right,
this is Avery Brooks' song. It's always been
and
Avery
Brooks just
song.
smiles and laughs. He's
does.
like, all right.
He laughs at whatever William Shatner adds to his songs. It's
So
great.
good. So good.
Yeah.
Yeah, so wouldn't recommend.
Well, I wouldn't recommend. Like, that's the thing. Yeah, if you go in and watch it, it's just going to be a William Shatner show.
Yeah, it's the Shat Show.
The Shat Show.
There's a Shat Show in here.
Yeah, yeah. But watch other Star Trek documentaries.
Yeah,
They're much better.
What We Left Behind. That one's so much better. You get a lot more out of it.
It's so good.
The documentary ends and you feel really good.
Yeah, and you feel inspired. And you learn more about Avery Brooks.
You learn more about everybody in the show.
You learn about everybody. You learn about the behind the scenes stuff. You learn, just like the intention, the creative choices that go into making it. It's a really great documentary.
Can't recommend that enough.
Recommend that 110%.
This
I'm trying to make my way through The Return right now. I tried reading Tech War by William Shatner.
God. I have that entire show on my server. You should just watch the show.
Yeah, I got the Tech War because like it's one of my favorite jokes in The Simpsons, where it's like they point to the banned book sections in Tech Wars on it. And so I really wanted Tech War for that reason. And so I found it at a used bookstore once. I'm like, hey, this is going to be funny. And I tried reading. I'm like, oh my God, this sucks. And William Shatner Vanity Project. Bad.
Yeah.
So... Yeah, the Captains doesn't get the Soy Trek recommendation.
No, it doesn't. And I think that's a good place for us to leave it.
Yeah.
Thanks for hanging with us, Soyagers. Be well, travel safe, and don't watch The Captains from 2011.
Yeah, give it a pass.
Yeah, kind of a Shat Show.
It's a Shat Show.
It's a Shat Show, baby.
All right. Well, thanks for checking with us, Soy Boys, Girls, and Willy Beans. Hang dong and shocker.
In a world where William Shatner has too much money to do his own projects and a very, very small penis, microscopically so tiny, and his belly so large, only one man can fight back. One man with a piano. This summer, William Shatner and Avery Brooks in What Happens When We Die. I don't know.